Hello. Today we will be presenting to you our findings on the Mackenzie Farms project, as well as our proposal of an event venue and a museum. To begin, I would like to introduce our team and several of the topics we will cover today. Our team includes myself, Peyton Pocklington, Brandy Smith, Brandy Martin, and Megan McGreevy. We will cover all of these topics today, and if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask. Mackenzie Farms, located in Summerville, Oregon, is a 100-year-old historic family farm that was once owned and operated by the Mackenzie Farm Trust, which was established by Glenn and Jean Mackenzie in 1991. After the passing of Glenn and Jean Mackenzie in 2006, the trust was transferred to the Oregon Agriculture Foundation. The board of the OAF manages 2 farms and related trusts to provide scholarships for students at Eastern Oregon University who are interested in farming and agriculture. The OAF is seeking ways to utilize the Mackenzie farmland with the intentions of maximizing profits in order to fund EOU scholarships. The OAF distributed over $25,000 in student scholarships during the 2019-2020 school year. Currently, the farmlands are leased by other local farmers, and the original home on the farm was sold to a private owner. However, there are 2 barns and a shop on the property that are vacant. The OAF would like to use these structures to establish an Eastern Oregon Farm Museum and Interpretive Center. The museum would help visitors understand what it was like to be a farmer. This space could also be used as an event rental for special events, including weddings, birthdays, and family reunions. The property has access to water and electricity. However, there are no restrooms currently on the property. In addition, the foundation does not have a web page and cannot currently be located online. The potential customer base for the venue would be couples from a middle to upper class and recent college and high school graduates. Customers for the museum would be schools, families, and tourists. Once a client base is developed in the surrounding area, the museum could then begin to reach out to schools in a wider radius. Competitors. Within the region, there are not very many competitors for the museum. The closest competitor would be OMSI. However, they do not have a day-in-the-life exhibit based on farming. This gives the museum a very large advantage. Competitors are almost non-existent in the area. However, for the venue, there are many competitors in the local area. The White Barn Estate, the barn at Tamarack Springs, the Gilbert Center, the Willamette Heritage Center, and Philip Foster Farms are the biggest competitors in the area. There are 2 services being offered at Mackenzie Farms. The first service is the venue. This stands out greatly from any other venue in the location. Not only is the rustic atmosphere a huge contribution to the experience, but the landscape adds just as much to the value. Events will be private and secluded within the property. There will be plenty of parking and room for all guests. Along with this, there will be chairs, tables, and tents on site in order for clients' experiences to be very smooth. The second service offered is the museum. This will be an amazing experience offered for everyone involved. Children, tourists, and parents will be able to see firsthand what it was like to live a day in the life of a farmer. The museum will be highly interactive as well. Next, we have collaborators. The first partnership will be Eastern Oregon University. The Ag Club and the Athletic Department will be a huge opportunity to secure volunteers and workers for both the venue and the museum. It will also be very important to secure partnerships from individuals as well as local businesses for donations. By partnering with locals in the community and surrounding areas, there will be quite a bit of funding and support added to the project. Along with this, it will be smart to partner with a few local restaurants and catering companies in order to have vendors on hand for clients to choose from. Finally, reaching out to local schools in order to set up field trips for children. Building this relationship early will help secure customers as well as developing good PR. Finally, we have the climate. There will be many factors that can affect the project. First, the economic factors. A lot of time and money will need to go into this project, not only to start the project, but also to run and maintain the location. Technological factors are also something very important to consider. There is electric and running water on the premises. However, there are not bathrooms, there are not enough electric sockets, and there's not enough lighting for a venue. Next, we have supplier power. The suppliers do not have much power in the service industry opposed to a product industry. The suppliers that Mackenzie Farms will be dealing with will be on a smaller scale, such as food vendors, music vendors, and decor vendors. In this industry, Mackenzie Farms will not have to worry too much about the power the suppliers have. Now on to the buyer's power. Mackenzie Farm will have to be a little concerned with the buyer's powers or the consumer's power. It is important to have prices in a reasonable but profitable range. The clients of the venue and the attendees of the museum do have the power to drive prices down. By having fair starting rates and offering more than others, Mackenzie Farms will not have to worry about customers driving the price down. The biggest rivalry for the venue will be the White Barn Estates, the Barn at Tamarack Springs, the Gilbert Center, the Willamette Heritage Center, and Philip Foster Farm. These are all venues that can hold graduation parties as well as weddings. The Willamette Heritage Center is the most similar venue in that it is also a museum. The Barn at Tamarack Springs and the White Barn Estates are the two wedding venues with similar rustic layouts. These competitors will be a big force for Mackenzie Farms to consider. Threat of substitution. Overall, considering a museum with a venue, the only substitute would be the Willamette Heritage Center. However, because of the location and the day in the life aspect, there is not a substitute for this service. Customers and clients would have to travel much further in order to find a similar service offered. Just considering the venue, there are many substitutes. These substitutes include any rustic wedding venue, as well as any outdoor venue. Within the wedding industry, there will always be a threat of substitution. The museum does not have any current threats to substitution within the area. It will also be very difficult for a museum to simply pop up. Threat of new entry. New entry will most likely only be a threat for the venue side of Mackenzie Farms. It would be very difficult for anyone to start a day-in-the-life museum. However, wedding venues are popping up every summer. This will be a concern for Mackenzie Farms. Mackenzie Farms will have to continue to advertise its advantage. Next, we have our political factors. Funding grants as well as labor laws will be the biggest political concerns for Mackenzie Farms. Grants, donations, partnerships, as well as sponsorships will also be factors that need to be obtained and processed. Economic factors. Tax rates and employee salaries will be determined upon what direction Mackenzie Farms decides to go with. Work-study employees or volunteer employees will not cost the farm any money from their pocket. However, paid employees will be a factor for the budget, along with depending on if the farm becomes a nonprofit or if they become a small business, and how much money will be brought in will play a role on tax rates. Finally, we have social factors. Cultural trends as well as organization image will be the biggest social factor that the farm can control. Today, families are all about taking their kids to new and interesting places. This will be a new and very popular trend for kids and tourists. This museum will show what farming used to be. Also, by having a positive, educational, and entertaining environment, the image of the farm will be very welcoming and positive. People will continue to visit a location with positive image. Creating and maintaining a positive image will be a huge factor for the farm. Next, we move on to technological factors. There will not actually be technological factors for Mackenzie Farms to be concerned about. No new technology will come into this type of business. So we will move on to legal factors. There are several legal liabilities that need to be concerned. Liability insurance will need to be obtained for the venue as well as for hands-on museum. Along with this, Mackenzie Farms will also need a liquor license for the venue. Employee regulations will also need to be considered, whether this be volunteers, work-study employees, or part-time employees. If this is going to be a nonprofit or a small business, an LLC, business license, or nonprofit 501c3 will need to be filed. Finally, we have environmental factors. There are no environmental regulations associated with the museum or the venue. The only concern may be wildfires in the summer months. Next, we have the SWOT analysis for the museum portion. The strengths include running water and electricity, private property, rich history with articles, photos, and resources intact, and finally, a dedicated team of participants. Weaknesses include the need for bathrooms, buildings will need to be restored and brought up to code, a museum program and display will take a lot of work and will to develop and execute a unique experience. The opportunity to truly honor the Mackenzie family legacy, connection to the community, the opportunity to give back by generating money for agriculture scholarships. And finally, we have our threats. Competitors include Eastern Oregon Museum, Oregon Trail Agriculture Museum, Fraser Farmstead Museum. Moving forward, after reading up on the event center and looking through pictures in the files, we concluded that this was our SWOT analysis for the event center or venue. As you can see in the table, the strengths we developed are running water and electricity, geographically in a great location for weddings and parties, and its private property. Weaknesses are the need to build bathrooms. Presentation needs a lot of work to compare with competitors and middle to high class target markets. The opportunities include Mackenzie House across the street can be used for an Airbnb. We could partner with local hotels and local transits. We can use students from EOU for work study and for volunteers. We can also use EOU Ad Club members. We can use local businesses and schools to market through and collaborate with, and we can create a web page. And finally, our threats. The competitors include the White Barn Estates, Willamette Heritage Center, Philip Foster Farm, other event centers in the area with similar offerings. What can we do to make our venue different? Next, we have our competitive analysis. To conduct our analysis of potential competitors, we selected Willamette Heritage Center, Philip Foster Farm, and Eastern Oregon Museum. We selected these museums as they were all nonprofit museums and offer venue space for rent. We selected businesses that closely represent Mackenzie Farms' business model and tried to locate museums operating in a rural location. Finding similar museums and venues in rural locations were difficult, but we identified 2 out of the 3 that we used for the analysis. To summarize, the target market for each of the competitors is focused on schools and teachers for the museum, with a focus on weddings, community events, corporate meetings, and events for the venue. They are all fairly alike in terms of their marketing strategy. Mainly, they have a focus on their social and online presence and word of mouth. The Willamette Heritage Center promotes itself more effectively than the other competitors by consistent and effective social media marketing, fostering strategic alliances in the community, and rotating events which drive viewers to visit its website. The primary differentiation between the competitors is that Eastern Oregon Museum does not promote itself through third-party wedding websites. We highly recommend Mackenzie Farms to contract with websites such as Wedding Wire or The Knot, as they are highly trafficked sites for brides planning their weddings and searching for venues. The primary takeaway we would like to point out in the SWOT analysis comparison against our competitors is that at this point we estimate Mackenzie Farms' weaknesses will be related to physical structure and components of property such as no bathrooms and a need for renovation. If Mackenzie Farms partners with a local university, college, or website company, they could ensure that they have a strong and effective presence online with a healthy website in terms of refresh rate and SEO. This would be an advantage over its competitors that either have website health issues such as speed or have a poorly developed website altogether. There are no apparent opportunities for the competitors aside from local partnerships and community collaboration. Major threats appear to be heavy competition for government funding, donations, and support. Audiences are also moving away from the traditional museum design of merely viewing exhibits, which could lead to a loss in audience share. On the flip side, it is a strong indication that a newly forming museum should be formed with integrative and engaging exhibits in order to attract and maintain the attention of a younger generation with a shorter attention span. As far as the target audience goes, for the museum we broke it down into a primary and secondary target audience. We think the museum's biggest revenue generator will come from K through 12 schools and children with their families. Knowing that the location could attract schools and families from Oregon, Idaho, and Washington makes this the primary target audience. Throughout our analysis, we used OMSI and other museums in Oregon and the Pacific Northwest as comparisons because they attract a similar audience. As for our secondary target audience, we focused more on middle-class tourists aged 30 to 70 who may be looking for something to do while on vacation or near Eastern Oregon. The target audience we structured for the event venue differs in many ways from that of the museum. Both have great potential to reach many different audiences and give back to the community and the university. For our primary target audience, we decided middle to upper class couples ages 20 to 50 would fit the mold for the wedding theme of the venue. Not only that, but the opportunity of having a reception there as well. Our secondary target audience is in many ways as equally as important as the primary. This audience targets recent middle to upper class graduates ages 18 to 24. Because we wanted to keep it specific, we did not include people seeking a place to throw a birthday party or even a work party, even though both have potential to generate large amounts of revenue for the venue. Now we will go more in depth to the primary target audience, school-age children and teachers seeking an educational but fun learning experience as a field trip intended to supplement subjects the students are learning. Customers need an affordable program, educational material that is geared towards students ages 5 to 18, as well as a place with ample parking for school buses. Potential customers will not select the museum if it is not safe, if it is not engaging, or if it is outside their budget. Along with this, we also have parents who are looking for a fun and educational family outing. Parents are seeking a unique, affordable, engaging experience that the whole family will enjoy. Customers will need a family-safe environment, restrooms, and prefer options of food and beverages for sale. Once again, they will not select the museum if it is not within a reasonable price range, if it is not safe, or if it is not engaging. Next, we have the secondary target audience. Tourists traveling near the Somerville area and are interested in learning about Oregon history. These tourists will have a particular interest in farm history and a keen curiosity about how a farm operates. Tourists may travel anywhere within the Pacific Northwest to visit. They will not visit our museum if it is difficult to obtain tickets or if the museum has poor reviews. Our primary target audience for the event venue. Recently engaged couples who are seeking an outdoor venue for their wedding. They are likely planning their event in the next 12 to 24 months. This customer will likely live within 100 miles and be selecting this venue that is central and memorable for their event. These couples will need good communicators, ample parking for a large celebration, and restrooms. They will likely shop us through a wedding planner, wedding website, general internet search, and in person. They will not select the venue if they feel it is out of their budget, functionally does not support the full wedding and reception, if it is difficult to access, or if it does not fit their vision for their wedding. The secondary target audience is recent graduates looking for a central location for family and friends to gather to celebrate their achievements. Graduates will likely have the help of family members for planning, so they will require a good communicator as well. They will also need parking and restrooms. They will likely shop us on the internet or in person. They will not select the venue if it is out of their budget. Also, we should consider local business owners. Local business owners who are looking for a comfortable location to host a company retreat or company picnic. These customers will need an affordable option that includes tables, chairs, parking, and the ability to use a sound system for music. They will likely shop us on the internet or in person. They will not select the location if it does not easily support entertainment options and have ample parking and restrooms. Next, we have the structure of the Day in the Life Museum. We broke the program into two sections, a museum with livestock and a museum without livestock. The building with the stalls will be used only for the museum. Artifacts can be stored in the stalls and throughout the building. The barn with the open floor plan will be used for the gift shop and venue. Many of the educational events at the museum will take place outside. However, events like putting hay in stalls, collecting eggs, and spinning wool will take place in the barn. We also suggest having an employee or volunteer at each station, informing and educating the children and guests on that particular station. We now move on toward our pricing strategy for the venue and museum. You can see that these prices are both reasonable but also profitable. There is wiggle room on these prices. However, we all agree that these should be the prices that Mackenzie Farms first opens with. Next is the startup costs and capital investments. Listed on this slide are all of the renovations, purchases, and donations that will need to be completed and obtained prior to opening the venue and museum. The startup cost and initial investment will be quite high. This is a budgetary profit and loss statement that represents what the first year could look like. This budget is generated conservatively in terms of potential revenue. Based on a financial assessment, the museum and venue will not generate enough revenue to cover its expenses without tapping into local grant programs, partnerships, and donations. By separating the budgetary profit and loss statement for each profit center, it is clear that the museum portion of the business is not sustainable. It would operate at an estimated loss of about $48,532 annually with outside financial assistance. The financial analysis for the outside venue profit center indicates that it would be profitable. A growth option could be to move away from the seasonal venue offering to a year-round offering if the OAF is willing to invest the capital expenditures to create an enclosed space that can function as a venue year-round. Moving forward to the companion webpage, this is a rough outline of what should be included as well as what the layout may look like. It will be crucial to include a donations tab as well as an events tab on the companion webpage. Here are a few examples of webpage options for the companion webpage. As you can see, there are many different directions to go in. Their direction all will depend on how much is in the budget for the web page, as well as what will all need to be included in the web page. Each of the OAF website pages will require originally crafted content utilizing SEO best practices to maximize search engine optimization organically. Original photography and videography will play a huge role in telling the story of Mackenzie Farms. Photography and videography can be split into two projects and can be executed by students pursuing a degree or by hiring a local company. Prices for photography and videography will vary between $500 to $1,500. Website development. The agency at Eastern Oregon University works with local businesses in order to give students hands-on experience with executing marketing projects. Web development can be executed by an EOU agency student at no charge to the OAF. In lieu of utilizing students to create the OAF companion website, you may coordinate creation with a local marketing firm. A comprehensive website can be accomplished by hiring a local marketing firm. The price for web development of this size will range from $1,500 to $5,000. The total cost for all will be around $6,689. Social media will play a huge role in connecting the Mackenzie Farms to the local community. We recommend that Mackenzie Farms create and maintain Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter social media profiles that link directly to the OAF website and then back to each social media outlet. These channels will help strengthen online presences while offering ways to connect with targeted audience and promote special events. Print marketing will also be important. A one-page flyer targeted towards educators will be useful when connecting with schools for group admissions. A trifold brochure targets towards special events will also help as well. The primary goal for Oregon Agriculture Foundation is to utilize the Mackenzie Farms to connect with the community in a meaningful way. The museum and event venue proposal allows OAF to connect with the community by immortalizing the family farm through thoughtful and integrative displays intended to educate the community on the Mackenzie family and the value of small to mid-sized farming operations. The revenue generated from this business plan will allow OAF to continue to support EOU agriculture scholarships, in turn strengthening the future of farming operations in Eastern Oregon for generations to come. Our final recommendations include partnerships and financial support. The museum should consider partnering with a regional historical society for support, donations, and exhibit assistance. We also recommend Mackenzie Farms applying for grants and government funding on a regular basis in order to help cover annual expenses. Cash donations would also help build reserves for continued maintenance and expansion. Thank you so much for your time and consideration. If anyone has any questions or concerns, please feel free to ask them at this time.